return to form, people.
Yep.
ACOG is finally back.
It's been brilliant. Actual form, Battleye. Thank you very, very much, Blast, for doing something that we've all wanted. NSC better look out, because we are...
Exactly.
We are coming your way, NSC.
Hello, welcome to the Legion login. My name is Logan. My in-game name is Aoki. I'm the captain in IGL for the London Legion Dionysus Siege team, as well as a fragger.
My name's Samuel. I go by Ren. I'm a fragger for the London Legion Dionysus R6 team.
I do coaching, first year.
And I do esports and events. I'm also a first year.
So let's get into this. About the team rename.
So big things. We've
Yeah.
obviously had a lot happen this split. It's been quite fast and hard for us.
Yes.
It's been very, very interesting. So first of all, big talking point. We've renamed ourselves. We were the only team in London Legion that didn't have a sub name, which is really, really interesting. So yeah, we've now renamed ourselves after the god of wine and fertility. His name's Dionysus.
Yep.
Big geezer. We feel it kind of fits our team name quite well. You know, our team composition. It's very interesting.
Considering we were the only single team, I think being named after the god of fertility is quite interesting.
It is quite interesting. It's a weird one.
Yes, definitely interesting.
Very, very weird.
In terms of actual gameplay, it's been a bit of a rocky split.
Rough road it's been for us. We've had a lot of roster changes.
A few not so much issues, just things coming up.
Just changes, changes that needed to be made so that we could start to work properly.
Yeah.
We're still in the bottom the bottom tier of NSC.
Yes.
But first year stuff, we're not always going to take off straight away.
Yeah.
We're going up against unis that have been established for. And that have had their teams established for quite some time.
They've had their team compositions for a year, 2 years, whereas we've only been a uni for 2 years, and this whole team has been brand new from the start. And obviously with roster changes such as Tim dropping out, Lewis getting put to a sub, having people like Luke join in halfway through the first split was quite rocky. We're a bit more even on terms with him now. However, obviously we had Hugo joining us. And then departing.
Yeah, quite quickly. The problem I find, especially with Siege, is it's one of those games that requires a high intensity.
Yeah.
So you can't always have kind of like days off. Like obviously days off are worth it. Like that's what the weekend's for. But we go from doing uni in the week straight home. We're grinding Siege out 3-4 hours a night. We're pushing for ranks. We haven't thought, especially us two, we hit diamond last season.
Finally.
Big one.
Well
honestly.
deserved after
well deserved.
After the grind we went
very
through.
rough season was shifting tides. No, not shifting tides. Oh my lord.
That's like 4 years
That's
ago.
4 years ago, man. What's the season we just had? Deep freeze.
Deep freeze.
I was thinking about the water. It's been one of those splits where we've had seasons where we've had a lot of real problematic cheater problems.
Yes.
And UB finally stepping up.
Trust me, we'll be getting back to that real soon.
100%.
But anyway, back to NSC, back to the team.
Of course.
Obviously, we've gone into talks about having a second team coming up soon. We finally gained a lot of players. We've got 4 or 5 subs now.
About that now. Yeah.
With Nevin joining the main roster after he's finished with Halo. If we can find someone else to be like a permanent 5th.
Because we've got Callum coming in to join our sub bench. We've potentially got a couple more players coming in to join the sub bench as well. It's weird because at tryouts we didn't have that many people. I feel like there was a lot of kind of uncertainty and anxiety for people at the start, especially for me. When I turned up, I was like, 100%, like thinking 10 people in a room was like, oh. But now we've come to the stage in this where we're starting to get things on track properly. We're starting to work better in NSC. The team comp's working better. Yeah. We're doing stuff outside of the team as well, so we're enjoying ourselves. And more people are taking a look at our team and saying, actually, this is a team that's starting to run really well. And hopefully, as we go into the next split, we're going to kind of say, right, okay, I think we're 5 and 6 record out of 11 games.
Something along those
Which,
lines.
to be fair, isn't bad.
We let's be real. We probably would have been 6-6 if they didn't have to, cancel round 2 last week.
And we got really unlucky with was it week 3 or something like that, where we could have won like both of our games. We just got incredibly unlucky.
Yeah.
But we've had some hard fought victories. 8-6 here and there.
Especially with like close rivals. Cool vibes.
Cool vibes. Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Those guys. They gave us the run around.
They push us.
Yeah. But
they're good games. They're good games.
Skyscraper though. That was really fun. And of course you had, what was it, last week? Was it the week before last where you dropped that absolute monster?
the 20 bomb. Yeah. That was 2 weeks ago. On Chalet.
Yep.
Because when we busted out the new.
The Deimos.
No, that was the first time we properly ran our new Wamai.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a
rough game.
Yeah. That was a rough game.
But yeah, obviously, the first couple times we bust out that strat, we very quickly found some holes that were poked into it, such as jungle window kind of being a big threat for me, because I can defend myself from top fireplace and I can defend myself on K9 window all I want. But jungle window just kind of like, if they get an angle on me when I have to like peek around, then it's just kind of over for me.
It's one of those ones where you're playing out of the box and it's like,
yeah,
there's lots of angles.
Yeah, it's very much like a problematic sort of space where I can do my job. I just need someone else to assist me on that job.
I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I do want to say when we had, I think it was a week, 2 weeks before yours, where I dropped 36 kills over 2 games.
Oh no, that was dirty.
Oh, that was astronomically
it's
horrible.
bad when we get mosh checked.
Yeah, it's bad when.
I think that whole week was just very scuffed for people, getting like 7-0'd because I think it was like, I want to say like 10 total teams got mosh checked that week. It was really bad.
It was really
I don't know why everyone was on like accusations that week.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I could understand. I did kind of just like, I heard, so I proper like sound. I was just I had ears on. Like I was like, I heard this guy drop on Clubhouse, and I was like, right, straight for the barricade, headshot.
No, that Clubhouse game against those guys was very, very. I think we were all kind of like,
we were on
headset
some
on
stuff.
max.
Yeah,
like, I heard a guy drop in like. The jacuzzi balcony.
Yeah.
And I literally just like pre-fired the entire balcony. Like that game was just very much us abusing sound.
But like that was one of those weeks where you start to think, damn, this team is, we are getting into the flow of NSE. We're understanding the game more. We're all working together as a team, and that was just one of them weeks where it's just like.
I think one of those weeks that week and I think the week before that were very dominant for us. We were very 100%. Like. On it.
Yeah, dominant place for us.
Then obviously things happened, managers, players.
Life gets in the way sometimes.
Sometimes people prioritize other things in their life, and that's fine. But
thankfully,
we just have to move on, recuperate.
We have been turning it around.
Exactly. We had a rough week, 2 weeks after that, and then we got straight back on it.
Oh, yeah, straight back on it. We've been proper on the ball now. Yeah, proper on the ball.
I think summer split is going to be definitely more our split. We're gonna have our team a bit more like hunkered down. We're gonna get everyone to actually like dedicate themselves to playing Siege.
Yeah,
especially
I
when
agree.
Considering most of the summer split, we're not actually going to be in university. We've got a lot more time to focus on the game itself.
Yep.
We can just storm NSC. Div 1 demons, mate.
NSC better look out because we are
exactly.
We are coming your way, NSC. Especially what with so we have one of our members stepping out of the roster at the end of summer, which is a shame. He's quite good. We are very much going to miss him.
I was going to say I'm going to be quite upset when we part ways with him.
Yeah.
No matter how many times we've had to
get him
chew him out.
Yeah.
He has been a fun addition to the team.
He's
a good player.
Yeah. He likes to work hard. His ethic is on.
He's definitely gone out of his way to, especially with our coach Nat. He's gone out of our way to like have a lot of single conversation with him, trying to actually improve the game.
Yeah, and he's turned up to every training session.
He has turned up to every training session.
The work in. But of course, we've got one of our other team members in a different team in Halo, Nevin. He'll be coming hopefully to join us towards the summer split.
Yeah.
We've got new members, Callum, who's just joined our substitutes bench as we mentioned earlier. Who else we got? We got potentially another member
Unnamed.
Unnamed.
No names yet. It's unconfirmed.
It's on the books. But he really likes playing Siege, and he's really good at it. I think in my eyes. And he definitely has an ethic to play the game.
Oh yeah.
And he's hopefully going to be a great addition to the roster. He's he's quite capable. He's got the mechanical skill.
Yep. I think it's potential changes coming soon.
Yeah, it's good
could
looking.
Could be as soon as next split. Could be as late as next year. But 100%. Changes soon.
Yeah, changes are coming, and they're gonna take a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah. We're gonna start playing a lot more unpredictably.
Oh, 100%. Like it's been one of those things where we've moved into year 9.
Yep.
And it's only year 9 season 1, and there's a lot of tweaks that you need to make to operators and the new meta. And
definitely to operators.
Tournaments. Deimos. I think we need to kind of like touch on him.
I think it's about time we talk about the actual game and the big changes that have happened most recently.
Deimos is an interesting one. So he's what, 2 armor, 2 speed? 2 armor, 2 speed. 2. He's an attacker. He's got a very similar tracking device to Jackal.
Yeah.
However, he's a lot more balanced in my eyes when he kind of got released. I watched the reveal panel at SI.
Okay.
And I was like, new operator, sweet. Like there was talk that was going to be this character from the lore, and people were like, he's going to be cool. His pistol's just been added to the game in the game files. Yep. We don't know what else is going to happen. And I saw his ability, the death mark tracker.
Yeah.
And the fact that you get to get pinged and he gets to get pinged is very kind of like, it promotes a 1v1 gunfight. If it's you in a 1v1, or if you go out of your way to have the 1v1, he's balanced in the way that you have to scan the attackers first.
Yeah.
With your drone, so that promotes more drone phase play.
I was gonna say they want people to play drone phase a lot more.
Because a lot of the meta is just keep your drone now.
You use one drone, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Keep the rest.
And that's why you got 3 minutes to drone. Yeah. That's why most pro teams will go for the first minute and a half to 2 minutes setting up, and then they execute. But he promotes a more information-heavy style meta.
Yes, 100%.
And speaking of the meta, actually, do you want to take away the new gun changes?
Return to form, people.
Yep.
ACOG is finally back.
Yep.
The greatest sight in the game. I will have no argumentation. 1.5 was a very dominating and toxic meta.
It was broken.
We had a lot of gunfights as opposed to actual team play, opposed to utility. However, I feel like this ACOG meta is going to promote sort of both, to be honest. I feel like in terms of, you're getting a lot more utility plays, you're getting a lot more my picks because he's now got 2.5. An ACOG on his MP5K. You're going to have people playing Melusi because obviously now her MP5 has an ACOG. However, you're also going to have the people who are picking them exclusively for the ACOG. Yeah. People like Doc, people like Rook, where they have the MP5 high fire rate with an ACOG. I personally, I'm going to be picking more utility-sided. Obviously, we've got strats for my. That's just a bonus for me.
Yeah, we've got strats with a Rooney as well.
Yeah,
I like the
DMR ACOGs. Yeah. DMR ACOGs are going to be an interesting shake-up.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you that.
NSC's going to
be but obviously, we had a lot more than just that. Obviously, every attacker has ACOG, including people who haven't had them since, year 3, like Ash.
Prime Siege.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we're gonna be, in terms of attackers, I feel like it'll be not as much of a big change. I don't think it's gonna initiate more of a gunplay meta in terms of attacking. I think it's still gonna be very utility suite based intel, just with additional sights. I think the bigger change that's going to be impacting how people play this game is obviously the recoil and grip adjustments.
The grip adjustment was interesting.
Yeah, we've now got 5% less, 5% more recoil in terms of attachments on vertical grip. Laser sight now changing so that you walk. ADS faster?
It's ADS faster. Yeah, because they reduced the ADS time.
Yep.
No, they increased the ADS time.
Yep, and now you basically have to run laser sight to have the original ADS time.
Horizontal grip.
Yes, the new horizontal grip that changes your character's movement speed.
Yeah, so they make them faster, which is interesting. So for 3 speeds, they're running at the speed of light.
Because obviously back in what was it? It wasn't Deep Freeze. It was Heavy Metal where they changed it so that every character, when they're ADSing, is the same speed, no matter if you're a 3 armor or 1 armor. I think adding something that changes that is going to be very, not meta-defining, but I think it's going to shake it up, obviously. You're going to have people who are going to be running Ashe ACOG with a horizontal grip, and they're just going to be moving around the map like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
It does promote a lot more movement. However, I think that's kind of healthy for the game. Personally, I think the change of everyone being the same speed was simultaneously healthy and unhealthy. I think there needs to be that sort of power dynamic in this game where you have a trade-off of being faster, but you're weaker in terms of your actual health. So I feel like removing that was kind of silly. But yeah, I think with the new gunplay changes, the new meta's still yet to be found, really. Obviously, we're a weekend. People still don't fully know what they're sort of running because they're finding out how recalls changed, they're finding out how the gunplay's changed, and people are still just kind of adjusting to it. However, I think long term, the actual meta itself isn't going to be too different. I think it's going to be, utility on attack, and then higher level play is going to still be a very much utility 20-second meta sweep, and obviously ranked. Platinum Emerald is just going to be gunplay, and then obviously Diamond and Up is still going to be utility.
So touching again on Deimos, breaking down his kit. So I already spoke about how the fact that he's got his special ability, he's a 2 armor, he's a 2 speed, so he's very balanced in that regard.
Yes.
And how he promotes a 1v1 gunfight style. Now I don't want to say they took the idea from Valorant, but they did kind of take the idea from Valorant with the 1v1s. Yeah, I think it's great that they've done this sort of thing. It does promote the gunfight there, but it only promotes it for one person. Of course, the Deathmark only pings it for Deimos, and you're only pinged by Deimos, and vice versa, so that nobody else gets to see it. Of course, the information can be relayed, but it's very hard to relay that information, especially when a target's moving and you're not on a drone where you can constantly give out live pings.
I was going to say, the only way it really isn't balanced is the fact that the actual Deimos himself gets a little like call out next to the character's name, so obviously he can call out where they are, whereas the defender doesn't get that. They just kind of have to know. Very much map knowledge in that regard.
And breaking down his weapon and utility kit, so he gets the AK-74, which was primarily introduced in Wind Bastion with Nomad. I feel like that's a great idea. I've said this to you many times. Feels like they're trying to make him out as a terrorist, like he is in the lore. They've given him a weapon that is synonymous with kind of like terrorism.
I was going to say AKs kind of promote terrorism in media. So
and they've given him the SAS shotgun, which one of the most broken shotguns. Not that it's probably going to get run that much in comparison, because Sledge and Thatcher have had it for years, and they're probably not going to get to use it.
Although I think Deimos might see a lot more shotgun play than those two, primarily based on the fact that his secondary is still good. Like back when Sledge had the SMG-11, he was still occasionally seeing shotgun play because he had the good sidearm to back it up. Whereas once he lost it, everyone just immediately went back to the L8. So I feel like Deimos could see more shotgun play. But again, that's a very specific niche playstyle.
Oh, definitely. And you mentioned his sidearm. It's the 44 Vendetta. It's an absolutely nutty pistol. It's got very high stopping power. It breaks open a lot of walls and barricades comfortably. It's got a very small. What would you say is a 1 times? Would you say that is on
I think it's a.
Or is it like a 0.75?
I don't know. I feel like it might be just a 1 times.
Yeah, it's incredibly good. Again, it's 2-shot body shot.
Yeah, very much reminiscent of Nomad's pistol, ironically, pre-nerf on the test server, where it had little recoil but high damage.
Oh, the recoil is like next to none with that thing, and it's also it's semi-automatic with a spin on that. It feels like if you click it fast enough, it becomes fully automatic.
It is very fast firing. There is no delay on that.
There's not at all. I feel like we probably will see some nerfs to kind of his weapon at least. We probably won't see the same thing to maybe his ability. I know he's got frag grenades as one of his secondaries, one of his utility pieces off the top of my head. I don't know the other one. I feel like it's smokes.
Honestly, I don't. I've not seen anyone run anything other than frags.
I think it's just frag grenades. It's probably claymores or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
I think
claymores.
I think it's a good thing that he has frags after the frag rework though, because imagine Deimos with a constant live ping and also being able to cook frag grenades.
I think that's probably one of the. I think they were planning in advance when they did that.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they were. I think it's very good. Like planning.
So let's talk about, we actually mentioned it earlier as well, anti-cheat. Battleye has been hopping.
Battleye has returned.
It has returned to true form. Yes. Battleye is back. And we've had over the last week and a half, probably upwards of 3,000 to 5,000 people banned.
Yes.
Ban waves every 10 minutes for 4 hours. 10 people getting banned. Bang, 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 bang. I've had 3 cheaters banned.
Yep, I've had 3 this season.
It's been brilliant. Actual form, Battleye.
I think, for context, obviously, over the Christmas period, it was horrendous. Obviously, they weren't in studio. They were all at home spending Christmas with their families. And then Battleye just disappeared.
It just disappeared,
and you basically couldn't play games. You couldn't do anything. It was horrible. And then, obviously, got fixed where we could actually, start seeing some cheaters banned again the second they came back into the studio after Christmas. They still took their sweet time with it. However, towards the middle of Deep Freeze, I'd say, because Deep Freeze came out, November? I'd say towards the middle, third, third sort of trimester, we'll say, of the season. We started seeing cheaters getting more frequently banned. We started getting a lot of elo back.
Oh, 100%.
Because at the start of the season, oh my lord, we lost a lot of elo from that. But yeah, we started seeing a lot more elo coming back, which made the grind a lot more easy. However, obviously there were still holes with it. People still knew loopholes to not get banned. Caused a lot of problems, a lot of grief, a lot of cheaters. And then this season they've just gone for it.
It's like they just flipped a switch and said, right, here we go.
They've hammered down. I don't know what they're doing, but it's working.
It's working. Keep it up because it's seriously working.
Keep maintaining this anti-cheat and your game will be alive, please.
Speaking of actually being the game alive, I saw on Steam the other day 200,000 peak players.
Yes.
It's the most in the game's history, I swear.
That is the biggest peak of Siege's PC history. Obviously, that statistic doesn't account for console. However, that's only Steam users as well. That's not...
that's not UB Connect. That's just Steam.
That's just Steam.
That's just Steam.
That is a crazy statistic to think about. Because I'm pretty sure that's higher than quite a lot of big name games. Steam peaks. I'm pretty sure it's higher than Overwatch's. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a lot higher than some COD games, which is huge because those are predominantly our main competitors.
Yeah.
I don't know what Valorant is, but if we beat Valorant, we are back. We are back.
I feel like Ubisoft have a lot to kind of think about, especially, and they have to kind of say, right, we have done really well in bringing this back.
Yep.
We've brought back this meta, this style of gameplay where we've gone, right, okay, people wanted the ACOG.
Yeah.
They wanted Prime Year 3 Siege, where the ACOG meant a lot to them. And they took it away from us and said, right, no more. Let's start looking at different sites. We're going to bring in, maybe more use of the hollow, or we're going to, start to use some of the red dots and the reflexes, and that's fine. But people want, what the people want.
I think at first it was a great change. Giving everyone access to every one-time site was perfect. The 2 times was a nice change of pace. Obviously, the 1.5 was the perfect site. Yeah. You had far enough distance where you could take longer gunfights, but you also were close enough where it wasn't blocking your screen. It was bulky.
Yeah,
it was very. It was
bulky,
it was perfect.
It was really,
and obviously
really
because it was too perfect, people became more lenient on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got ranks they don't deserve, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But due to it, so I think return to ACOG is a very nice you're appealing more to your fan base that left in the early days because they didn't like the trajectory of the game. You don't have this super mega overpowered site. So it's not like a gunfight meta. I think it's just
a really good change.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch once more on Deimos. I've been talking a lot about Deimos today.
You keep thinking about that, man.
Listen, Deimos, he's interesting. But I want to say about so I'm big into the Siege lore.
Oh yes, we're going more into the lore.
It's I love the lore of games, especially Tom Clancy games, because we've got Ghost Recon, which has got a rich lore history. The Division has got a huge lore, same as Splinter Cell, and we're now seeing that the Ghost Recon and Splinter Cell worlds are colliding. So in this year of Siege in game, there's supposed to be something big happening in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's called Operation Amber Sky. It's supposed to be where Ash, Finker, and Thatcher go to Aroa. So that's supposed to be happening in this sort of year. Deimos is an interesting critter. So in the cinematic trailer for this season, we had Deimos go to Emerald Plains, the map. It's an old country club in Ireland. So what was it? Rook, Doc, and Mirror were all there. Doc takes a blooming
I was going to say the
revolver shot to the face.
Yes, they actually added that skin to the battle pass. He has he has the scar under his eye from where the bullet casing still scratched his face.
So that's actually got a really cool backstory to it. So the GIGN, which is Doc's counterterrorism unit, they actually have some seriously good ballistic masks. Like we're talking can stop some serious stuff.
There's also the additional law change to Rook. I think it was back in last year. Deimos had a threat on Rook that his armor wouldn't be able to stop his bullets.
That's true.
Whereas now, as you see in the cinematic,
he does take a couple to the chest.
He's upgraded his armor plates, and now he can take the revolver bullets.
It was nice to see Sam Fisher come out of nowhere.
Yes, especially in the Splinter Cell uniform.
Yeah. Like he just came out of left field. He was like, no, I don't think anybody was really expecting to see him there. I think it's nice in my eyes that Deimos, who his real name is Gerald Morris, takes a look at Sam and goes, "Oh, I recognize this guy." He sees him and he goes, "Oh, I know about you. You're infamous. An operator from the first 3 R6 games. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that they've tied the law into that.
Yes. I like it all coming together.
Past operator wants to see some change, does something extreme. It's really interesting. But moving on. Let's talk about Year 9 as a whole. So we've touched a lot on elements of Year 9.
Yep.
So Year 9 Season 1, Deadly Omen brings a lot of improvements, including the shield mechanic improvement, which is a very interesting change. I haven't seen it that much.
I personally think it's kind of touchy.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's kind of controversial.
I think it's a good change in general. However, any of you Blitz mains, you're taking a lot of issue to this, as your feet are now completely exposed.
Yeah, and it was always I'm going to come right out and say this. Every time somebody ran a blitz against me in ranked, I'd run away.
Yeah.
I don't like blitz, considering that man can crouch and his feet are covered.
Unless I have a nice Rolex on my wrist.
Oh, the Rolly flicking
I'm running out of there.
Oh, straight out of there, man. You have no idea. It's unreal.
I was going to say, I'm two fucking rooms away. I'm throwing a C4.
I mean, even with the Rolly on, I actually managed to die more as Warden.
Yep. Yeah,
against Blitz, because I just forget.
It's panic.
It's because it's hilarious because I'll watch somebody go against a Blitz like you're Warden, and there's
But then when you're in that moment yourself, you also forget you're Warden, and you're just like, what do I do?
So the no hip fire, the free look instead of the hip fire is very interesting. Yes. They've got the reloading behind the shield. You can now Oryx charge as a shield, so you can knock people down. It takes about 3 or 4 hits, I think it is, depending on the armor of an operator to kind of just knock them down, knock them out. Terror, just sheer terror.
Yep.
I
never thought I'd fear a Monty more in my life.
Yeah, well, speaking of Monty, actually, I was about to say this. I did see a lot of Monty play in the first stage of EUL, Day 1. I saw G2 running a lot of shield.
Then again, G2, they're pretty infamous for running Monty. Yeah. Obviously, back in his prime, Pengu loved playing a bit of Monty, even though it was very toxic. Please never do that again.
Yeah, don't ever do it again.
But yeah, the G2 were quite infamous with the Monty pick, so it's not too much of a change for them. However, obviously with the new shield changes, I think they're going to be reaping the rewards of that.
Definitely. Speaking of some shield changes, so we've got a lot of balancing for this season. So Azami's had a huge update.
Yes.
So it was infamous when Azami got released in Demon Vale. It must be Year 7 now.
Yes, I believe it was.
Yeah, it's been a while. So
Year 7 Season 3, I think?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So when Azami got introduced, it was the big thing that they made of her barriers are bulletproof.
Yes.
Her barriers are now not bulletproof. Some might say controversial. I say great, because now Clubhouse isn't going to be that much of a stress.
Yeah.
Pushing that.
Garage is finally attackable again.
So yeah, it takes... What is it, like a full magazine and a half for ARs?
Yeah.
It's like a couple of bullets from
I think it's 3 bullets on shotguns, 6 to 10 on DMRs.
It's super, super easy to break now, and she still gets quite banned quite a lot, I feel like, or just not picked at all.
But I think it's a great change. I think in terms of the meta, obviously, we were very much approaching a power defender meta. Obviously, we've got Solace, Azami, Fenrir, and then with the addition of Tubral, that made 4. So obviously there'd be 2 power defenders in play at any time. I think by taking away that status of immortality from Azami, it's kind of taken away her role as a power defender now. Obviously there's a way to deal with it a lot more easily, just shoot it. So I think that means that your bans are a lot more suitable. You can take 2 power defenders out and then only have 1 left to deal with. So you only really need to like, I'll ban the Tuberel and the Fenrir. We can get the wall and we can walk in, and now all we have to worry about is the Solace below.
Yeah,
and we just get someone to roam clear her. Or we've gotten rid of the power roamer and we just need to worry about the wall, for example. Like, I think it makes just attacking a lot nicer to deal with. Because as we can see with the SI win rates, the addition of Tuberel being fresh and having 2 power defenders at any time definitely made it a more defender-heavy just event in general.
Yeah.
But I think going forward, UAL hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more even win rates.
Yeah.
Just hopefully. Definitely. That's what I'm praying for, at least.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of attackers, LMG's got a huge balance change. So they are essentially back to the middle of pre-nerf and post-nerf.
Yes.
So they have an interesting recoil pattern. They've got different scopes now.
Yeah, they make you a lot slower.
Yeah. Actually, the movement speed thing is like it's prime for running horizontal with LMGs now.
Yes.
And of course you have to use the laser sight, and most of them still have the 2.5, which is great. So it's going to be really interesting to see how LMGs work. You know, they have been one of those ones that's very controversial in some regard, considering Year 7 was like run through people with an LMG. Nobody cares. Finka was like the highest played attacker. She was nuts back then.
I'm pretty sure I stopped playing for a while during the LMG match. Just
that sounds about right.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Also, a huge set of improvements as well to player comfort. So we've had the rappel improvements where it's quicker now to attach yourself to the side of the building. Rappel up, it's easier to swing in, and it's easier to get on top of the building now. You know, you run up, run in, it's 5 seconds.
Yep.
We've had a lot of improved gadget deployment and pickup, as well as a huge change like the throwable trajectory, which I personally don't use. I don't see the point of it.
I personally am not a big fan of that. I think the only purpose it really serves is new players, obviously.
For more casual kind of style.
I think it's very tailored to them in terms of like, where's my impact going to land? Like, how far can I throw this nitro? But I think for anyone above that, like gold, platinum level, it's not really an important change. It's just kind of there.
Viable.
Yeah, it's good for obviously introducing a new wave to the game. Obviously, we've seen a lot of influx of new players with personalities like Jinxie, Queso, even Criticals coming back to the game. Like, we've got a lot of big names honed in on the game at the moment. So I think for the new audience and player base, it's going to be nice, but overall, it's just sort of there.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, I want to talk a little bit about Year 9 Season 2. So this one doesn't have a name yet, but it's going to be one that's going to be very, very interesting.
Yes.
So a fan favorite is getting a slight remaster. Everybody will know Recruit from the days where you could run the poor boy in ranked before he got a huge change to how he was played and where he could be played, and predetermined loadouts.
I miss that Mate 70 Smoke and Stun.
Man,
I truly do.
Such good fun.
I truly do.
So Recruit is getting a remaster. Details on this don't exist at the moment, but I feel like he's going to be an interesting one. Yes. I mentioned to you before this, I want to see him come back for ranked. Will he? Probably not. But he's going to be
given the new ranked requirements of having to own 5 operators, I think they might put him in ranked depending on how they find the remaster to be. Obviously, with test servers, we'll see how it actually comes out next season. If people demand it, they'll add it. Remember, you have a voice. Speak
up.
Speak your mind.
Speak your mind.
This is a community-driven game.
Oh yeah.
If you want recruiting ranked, it's your job to make it there.
You know, we did it with Boss GACOG.
Yes, we did.
Well, that was an interesting one. So there's going to be a lot of major features coming in Year 9 Season 2. We're going to have the full system launch of the Reputation system.
Yep.
That has been a bit controversial so far. It's been a bit problematic. There's been errors and bugs with it. It's not a big deal. They'll launch it. You're going to get alpha pack bonuses, card background for your operator, and more positive bonuses as well.
I think you get increased renown as well.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
just gives you a lot more to work with, really. Remember to get your good boy points, people.
Oh yes, definitely.
Be good people.
There's going to be new map filters in the standard playlist.
Oh, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, so we're now going to be able to turn off maps we don't want for unranked, if you will. I'm going to call it unranked because standard's a silly name.
Unranked is still what it is at the end of the day.
It's unranked. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Wait till they add it to ranked.
I was going to say, I'm very excited for this for unranked, as it means we can limit our map pool to the NSE map pool. It means that we can fiddle around with our strategies, mean we can work them out more instead of just having to go into a custom game or scrims and just praying and hoping. Just means we can find holes faster. Like with the Chalet one, obviously we had to wait until we played it in NSE to actually find the bugs in the plans. Whereas now we can just go into standard. We can just load up a game on, I don't know, Nighthaven Labs, for example. You know, people don't overly like it. We can have that as an off pick. We can then find a strategy, hop into some unranked, make our strategy, see how people counter it, and then just build it up from there.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting. One other big change.
Yeah, do you wanna take it away?
Well, I'll start small. You know, obviously we're gonna have Marketplace official launch.
Yeah.
That one's gonna be.
That one's gonna be large.
Yes.
That one's gonna be really.
It's also
really
suspected. Obviously. Off the roadmap, however, it is suspected we're going to have player-to-player trading coming with that.
Yeah, that's true as well.
I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited for my F2 Glaciers.
Yeah,
get all my nice expensive skins off my second account. However, let's get to balancing. Balancing in year 2, not year 2, in season 2.
Blast from the past, that was 7 years ago. Year 9, season 2.
I think, first one, obviously, the Fenrir update is going to be very, very exciting. You know, Fenrir, another power defender. Not overly really a counter for it. His actual premise obviously is very simple. You know, device is open, shoot it. Very much like a Malusi in that regard. Yep. However, his device is also infinitely more powerful. You basically can't see anything if it's even remotely hidden. Like there's one in Oregon in Master Bedroom where you can like break the drawer front and throw it in there, and while they're walking past it, unless they're hugging that drawer, they cannot see it.
Yeah.
And I've, in fact, had many people, like, personally message me while we're in-game asking where it is.
Yeah.
And I've just been like, hey.
Listen, you got to find it yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And then they find it, and they're like, wow, this is
it's broken.
really good.
Yeah.
Like, how am I meant to see this? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the whole point. But I think,
of course.
Obviously, we haven't actually heard anything about his update.
No.
Surprisingly, there hasn't been any leaks on it.
No, not yet.
So I think it's going to be very exciting to see where this goes. I personally think a good change would literally be just take 2 of them away.
Yep.
So that he only has 3 active at one time and he can't move them around and he can't change how the attackers have to attack, essentially. I think that's going to be a lot more balanced. But again, who am I to know? You know? We don't know how it's going to change.
Find out closer to the time. Speaking of finding out closer to the time, Solace is going to get an update.
Yes.
Actually, it's potentially the first of several updates, according to the Year 9 roadmap. So one of the biggest changes that we're aware of right now is that there is the potential that Solace will not get to use Spec.io sensor in the prep phase. Now, when it's turned on, you can only see drones that are active and that are moving at the time. However, the idea of changing it from using it in the prep phase to just using it in the main phase is well, it's interesting in every regard. Yeah. You're taking away the main fundamentals of this operator and saying, right, you now can't use her where she's supposed to be used in the roam lurk kind of scenario that she's kind of been placed into, to now you can only use her in the main phase.
I think this is very controversial in the regard of it kind of makes her useless. I feel like obviously her primary use is not utility, is intel denial.
Yep.
You know, she's supposed to deprive you of that intel. You're supposed to not know as much, whereas she knows a lot more than you. She's like the IQ of a defense. However, I think taking away her ability during the prep phase kind of makes her just exist.
Not viable.
Yeah, I think you kind of need to. Obviously, when we're in this meta of only using 2 drones, you really want to just get those 2 drones out of the way.
Yep.
And I think, you know, forcing the other drones to then come in because you've just completely denied them that intel is very key. You want them to expose their intel as much as possible so you can either like take it with a Mozzie or mute and then Solace just breaking them, you know, however you want to do that. I think it's very key to get those drones out the way fast. I think by taking that away from her, she is just currently recruit with a P90.
Yeah, but the P90 SMG11 combo is incredibly overpowered in every regard, and it's one of those ones that I find very interesting, considering, you know, I've seen a lot in pro play where at SI, people running Solace using the Spanish shotgun.
Yes,
instead.
The ITA.
Using the shotgun, combining it with the SMG11 is not exactly something that that's considered uncommon.
Yep.
It's very common to use mute with it as well. There's plenty more about Year 9 Season 3 and Year 9 Season 4. However, a lot of details are not necessarily available.
I think the only big thing we really know is that Solace is getting another update later in the year.
There's potentially cross-play console to PC, but that's obviously coming under the mousetrap kind of ideas. It's going to be more ban improvements, plenty more quality of life changes, lots and lots and lots more to talk about with those 2 seasons coming up. However, in Year 9 Season 3, there will be obviously a really important event.
Yes.
Actually, I don't know if it's going to be in Season 3, but the first ever
no, I think
UK...
it'll be in Season 2, maybe start Season 2.
Season 2. But yeah, the first ever UK-based R6 Siege Major. Thank you very, very much, Blast, for doing something that we've all wanted for 9 years. 9 years. So it's going to be one that I suspect a couple of us will be attending.
Yes.
We're very, very excited for that. Yes. Logan will reveal some details.
The first thing I will say, I think, is that by not having a major in the UK, they've missed out very heavily on a very passionate scene. As we see with a lot of festivals, like music festivals, music concerts, if you compare a US crowd compared to a United Kingdom crowd, there is infinitely more noise in the UK. We're a very passionate bunch.
I mean, you can't outdo Brazil, though.
You can't outdo Brazil. But also, don't risk your life going to Brazil. So, obviously, the first big thing is the first major. You know, we've never had one before. It's going to be very exciting to have one.
Manchester.
I think the location, bit strange. However, I'm still looking forward to it. I think it's going to be nice. A nice, safe arena, at least.
It's so I had a look at the website for the I think it's the BC Arena in Manchester.
Something along those lines.
It's one of those ones where it looks like it could hold a cage fight.
Yeah.
I think it actually probably has held sort of like USC based fights.
Because
I think the thing I saw was an octagon in the middle, so that's kind of cool in that regard. May though, I think it's the 26th or the 25th to the 28th of May.
I believe our trip was like 24th to the 28th, because we're going to be there the whole time.
Of course, so expect hopefully potentially lots of content coming.
We do have a big roadmap.
That's all.
I'll pull it up real quick. We're going to have a lot of content to go. We're going to have obviously some pre-event sort of building up content. We're going to have a lot of that. We're going to have a lot of posts coming out while we're at the event, a lot of potential interviews with players, coaches, managers.
Stay tuned.
A lot of cosplayers as well.
Yeah, of course.
We've got a big cosplay scene in the UK. They're finally able to, go out, reveal their cosplays, show them off.
And some of them are awesome. I saw a guy on TikTok have like a barricade full of stuff.
I'm very excited to try and get a lot of interviews with those, see where they come from, see what got them into cosplaying, etc., etc. We're going to have a lot of things such as Vox Pops, interviews, just general TikTok sort of short form media content. We're going to have a lot of, vlogging style content of while we're there. We're going to have like a sort of post event. We're going to have a lot more like day in the life. So like you get to see a lot more of how the event goes, what we're doing at the event, as well as the more like big interviews with players,
managers, coaches.
Especially if we can get some post games, that'd be very nice. Post match interviews, that sort of thing, if we can, obviously.
They're always out there.
And then show off to everyone who didn't get to go. Really.
Wow. So speaking of the Manchester Major, I personally want to talk about the current state of esports for Siege, and specifically League stuff. So I have managed to, I missed out completely last year of watching League stuff. I didn't really get to see it that much. However, this year, now I particularly want to talk about EU, not only because it's the region that we're based in, but EU has had some monster changes. So the 3 orgs that are now inside, who are completely brand new to EU, are Fnatic. Well, they're not brand new.
They're returning. Returning.
Yeah. So Fnatic are back. Japan League didn't work out. Oceania didn't work out. It's a shame we don't have Magnet, who has been with the organisation for, 4 or 5 years now. Fnatic are back, and they've just won their first match on Playday 2, which I'm super happy about. They beat Into the Breach, who were, I believe, part of like the Challenger League-esque
I think they were more towards Challenger.
And they have their own academy team who are competing currently in the open qualifiers. ENCE
has finally returned.
They are
to Siege.
Back.
We haven't seen them since year 2, year 3.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's definitely been a long time since ENCE have been here. I think it's a very nice warm return they've had so far, because a lot of people have been excited for them. They keep making waves, continuing in Counter-Strike, keeping a lot of their like basic games. Counter-Strike, I presume, I'm pretty sure they're in Rocket League. I could be wrong on that one, but
but speaking of more orgs, Wild, I believe, is this their first time entering in
I believe
EU?
that's their first time in EU,
So
yes.
they are also joining the lineup. I mentioned as well, Fnatic have been on some great form.
Yep.
I really just want to touch on this because, Fnatic man over in the corner. Fnatic have been on some serious runs. So they lost 8-7 to G2 in their first play day, which easily could have gone the other way around. I
was going to say, I think since SI, G2 have been very much tripping over their own feet here.
G2's downfall.
Yep. As much as I am a G2 supporter, we need to get it together, lads.
Yeah.
Sort it out.
But Fnatic have been on some form. They beat Into the Breach 7-4 in play day 2. It's the start of something new. They're 1-0 at the moment, but obviously it was an overtime loss, so the points work differently. Also, Virtus Pro, they are doing heavily well. Of course, Empire disbanded in, 2021, 22?
Due to the Russian
problems.
Conflict. Russian team, they can't, because I remember the first season after they banned Russia from Pro League, they competed under no organization.
Yeah, that was it.
And then they kind of just disappeared off the map for a while. I think they went back to Challenger.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
And then obviously we saw a big, obviously they came back, but we saw the big return at SI.
Yeah.
They performed pretty well,
Pretty spectacularly to get what they did,
for a team that hasn't overly been in Siege for they took a long break realistically from the top leagues.
Yeah.
I think coming back and making that big impact in SI was very, very impressive.
I'm just happy to see my Empire boys back together.
As a G2 supporter, I still cannot say I'm a bigger fan.
Empire getting hammered left, right, and centre. No, not Empire. G2 getting hammered left, right, and centre by Empire. There we go.
Yeah, G2, please fix it.
So I also want to say as well, BDS, Wolves, and Team Secret. Secret, we haven't really heard a lot from them.
Yep, they've been quite under the radar for a while.
Just been there. But Wolves have been doing astronomically well.
Yes, they made a big rise out of nowhere. They were kind of the bottom of the barrel of the UL for a while. Everyone just saw them as the football team, essentially. They weren't really doing anything. People saw them as a bit of a joke. And then suddenly they just came out of nowhere. Yeah. I don't know if they've been doing what G2 did back in the day where they kept strategies until SI.
Oh, yeah.
But, Lord, they went on a tear.
They did go on a tear. Something that BDS will have to look at as, Wolves being primarily based in France for this roster. It's something that, France will have to look at. BDS obviously being primarily a French roster. There's been a lot of roster changes as well. We saw, was it Renshiro?
Yes.
Yeah, he's left the organisation now. A big hit for BDS, but they did win also their first game of the season for EU, so they are doing very well.
In terms of BDS, they've got a lot to prove. Obviously, they didn't quite make it to SI,
of course.
And I think that was a big hit to them personally. I think they were very, very demotivated after that, and then came back with this big hunger. They have to start taking wins. They have to keep going. They have to prove themselves again. After, like they did with Shoko when he got unbanned. I think they've got that same sort of energy at the moment. I think they're here to pick up wins. They're here to prove that they deserve to be here.
Winning mentality, I think, is going to come from them, honestly.
Oh yes.
They are a team that progressively push their boundaries, and if they keep making minor tweaks to their roster, they're going to start to think, right, we have a team here that is going to be successful.
Yes.
We're going to come swinging out of EU. We're going to take one of the 3 major slots for EU.
Oh, yes.
We're going to come to Manchester. We're going to absolutely hammer. But there's obviously been some big changes as well outside of EU. I love EU to death. But it's time to talk about something different. North America has had some astronomical changes.
Oh, yes.
So, of course, the big one this year was Bolo joined DZ.
Yes, Bolo coming out of retirement.
Out of retirement at 22.
Yes, retired very young.
Yeah, it'd be fair enough to him.
I mean, to be fair to him, obviously his retirement came at a time where Siege got quite stale, especially in NA. It was basically the same teams running the same strats. Everyone was just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It got very repetitive. It got very boring. They were picking up win after win and just not really reaping the rewards. It was very boring for them, especially Bolo. He's been on tear for God knows how long, 3 years at that point, 18 to 21. But obviously now we've had a lot of game changes, a lot of team changes, new people coming onto the scene, teams coming and going. I think it was a very prime time for him to come out of retirement. I think it was a good time for him to get back into Pro League. He very much said in his retirement that him coming back was not out of the question as soon as obviously everything changed, everything like worked out more for him. And things are now working out for him.
Yeah.
So fair play on him for coming back.
DZ is a great roster for him to join. He's playing under veteran Canadian, 2-time SI winner.
Definitely a close rival to Bolo, especially with like TSM and SSG.
Yeah. It was a big one. That was a very, very big one.
However, we've also got a lot more changes in NA. We've got Loss now coming from South America. I think that one's going to be an interesting curveball to throw into the league. Loss, they've kind of been a hit or miss org. When they perform well, they perform well. Their weaknesses are very much their weaknesses, though. So I think that's going to be an interesting change, seeing like going forward. I think it's going to be very nice to see a nice change of pace for NA. I think it's going to be very good to see a lot more people coming out, changing the scene. What are you thinking of Loss in NA at this point?
I think that when they operated as Team 1, they did quite well.
Yes.
But the merge has kind of left them a little bit towards... it's left them towards the bottom. The merge for any team, like we saw with Koi and Rogue, is one of those ones where you're putting two orgs together, you're trying to create something new. However, it doesn't always work.
Yeah,
it's not going to work out. Some orgs make it work, which obviously we'll touch on in a minute. But before going to that, I want to talk about two things. One which happened recently, and one which happened at SI. Sonics were a team that went under the radar for years. Of course, Sonics, they fielded the first ever women's professional Siege player, Goddess, and the only one since to have played at the highest level competitively. What a run!
I think that run was very, very dominant, especially not Loss. Sonics, they weren't really considered like a tier 1 team for a long time. They only got their first team skin in it was either 2020 or 2021 where they started doing
21 it was Jaeger.
Tier 1 to tier 3 teams would get skins. Obviously we saw a lot of tier 3 teams still not get skins.
Yeah, of course.
So Sonic getting one was a big thing for them, obviously.
Huge.
It got their name a lot more out there. People who weren't watching like tier 2, tier 3 events, they were obviously finding out about who Sonics was, finding out all this. They got promoted obviously to a higher tier team as they got their proper sledge bundle, as well as the MP5 bundle. But they were still very under the radar. People weren't really paying attention to them. They just kind of
fell out a little bit.
And then out of nowhere, dominating.
Absolutely dominating SI. Speaking very quickly, it's something that happened today and yesterday. It was made aware that Mirage were having financial struggles. Mirage have officially been removed from Pro League completely. The team roster that they had operating underneath was an academy team that replaced the Mirage roster. That team has been fully removed from Pro League. Yes. North America will go down to 9 teams now instead of the 10.
The 10, yeah.
And so that's a bit of a shame, but it's not really that big of a deal.
It's a little controversial how they did it. They could have handled it a bit better. However, I think for the overall health, it was very good. It was very good decision. Very good.
One more thing I would definitely like to touch on is, I want to touch on a couple of things just very quickly. Furia have picked up the W7M winning roster. Yes. They won everything last year.
Yes, they were
2 majors.
Absolute tag.
SI, one of the only teams to win everything in a competitive year, except for the league. But they did super, super well qualifying to what they got. I think that one's going to be very interesting. It's a good roster.
Going forward, it's going to be a very interesting change. 100%. I'm not quite sure why they let the team go, to be perfectly honest. They got them big results. They were underdog in 2023.
Yeah.
They literally were a nothing team. Came out of nowhere. Demolished them. Put their name on the map, and then they changed. Didn't they change regions? Got a new roster.
Yeah,
because they were originally an Asian team.
Yeah.
And then obviously they came to Brazil.
They
picked up this Brazilian team. Yeah. My lord, they went on a tear last year. They were a dominant team.
Dominant team, yeah.
And now they've let them go.
Yeah.
And I think going forward, this is going to be very, very interesting.
Definitely.
Furia, very also under the radar, but going forward, hopefully they're going to be going on a tear.
And the last thing that I would like to touch on esports-wise, it's huge.
Very big.
So Talent Esports are primarily an Asian-based team. They did have some, not major successes, some majors throughout 2022. They have merged with French football team Paris Saint-Germain. It's one of those ones where oh, great, another football team. But actually, PSG Talent have picked up some huge talent.
Huge talents.
And 3 Siege legends.
3 veterans of the game.
Veterans of Siege.
We're talking back to Penta. We're talking back to Prime G2.
Prime G2.
They've picked up the 3-time SI winner, Fabian, to be their head coach.
Yep.
They've picked up Pengu, 2-time SI winner. They've got him being a content creator. They've got him being a caster. They've got him on lock.
Yeah, they've got him doing some serious work. I'm sure he'll work closely with Pengu as well. Fabian, sorry.
Yep, they're going to be doing a lot of strategy making. And then they've got their new analyst.
The analyst, yeah, believe she is.
Jesco.
Yeah, Jesco.
G2's old coach.
Yep. So very, very interesting for her to come and join. She's a criminologist by trade.
Yep.
So, she's got the analysis unlocked. She's been a desk host several times. And she's been on the analyst board as well at many, many major tournaments. I think she's a perfect fit for the team.
I think going forward, PSG Talent is definitely a team to be looking out for. We've got big names behind the team now. They were already, a fairly decently standing team. I think they're going to be going on a tear with these new changes, with this new head coach. And I'm excited to see what's coming from PSG Talent. Yeah, very excited.
Korea League is going to be interesting.
Yes.
I hope they take the first spot for Manchester because we'll get to see them.
I would love to be having a lot of interviews with Fabian, with Pengu. Like I'd be loving to see how the changes have been affecting the team as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
However,
that's our time. I'm afraid
it is in fact our time. I've been Logan,
and I've been Samuel.
You can follow me at aoki.ll. Aoki with 2 I's because someone took my name. I don't know how.
And you can find me at Ren or Ren R Success on most social medias I have. But yeah, thank you very much for
thank you for joining us, talking about our passion, and we wish you a good night.
Yeah, good night indeed. Bye.